Welcome to the story of Everyman. Today we have a special guest, Ashley Salgado. She's a local realtor here in Longview. She won one of the polls in my local group on Facebook for the best realtor here in Longview, which was pretty impressive. You grew up in Texas or the U.S.? Tell me a little bit about your history.
Tatum, Texas.
Tatum, Texas?
And I graduated from there in 2013.
Okay. Are your parents, are they Hispanic or Latin, or where are they
Yes,
from?
so they're both Mexican. My mom's from San Antonio. She was born and raised over there. And then my dad and his family are from Chihuahua, Mexico.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have an older brother, Jonathan, and I have a younger sister named Alexis.
Tell me about growing up in Tatum, Texas. That's a really small town. We're familiar with the area.
It is. It was, my class, maybe we had less than 100 graduates. I love the school. Like, my daughter goes there now, and I think it's still a really good school district. It's just a really small town, and so obviously I ventured out to Longview a lot for the movies or, like we said earlier, Walmart. And so that's kind of what it was, like a small town. Like, literally, you drive through it, 2 minutes, it's done. That's it.
Cool. What religion was in the household when you were growing up?
Christian. So I grew up going to church with my mom, and I'm still Christian to this day.
Which denomination?
Back then, it was more of like a Pentecostal type thing. Over the years, I feel like it kind of calmed down from that. But that's what our church that we used to go to was really based on.
You have a history with the military. Before the military, was there anything in your life that you would say you had to persevere through?
Yeah, my mom passed away in 2007. She was actually on her way to a women's leadership conference in Austin, so Austin area. And I guess, the Round Rock area, like you're about to get into Austin, they crashed there, and so her and her best friend passed away.
Goodness. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So how did you cope with that?
So the year prior, literally a year and a month prior, 2006, we had gotten into a car wreck after church. I broke my right femur, so I couldn't run the same. Like, sports didn't feel the same to me. I don't know. I feel like I got very rebellious, and like I was just very bitter. I was so bitter for so long.
After her death?
After.
Okay.
Before, like, I thought my life was perfect. You never assume these things happen to you until they happen to you.
Right.
And so that's kind of what, it happened to us. And so that's just kind of, you have to kind of adapt. By the time I turned 18, I realized I needed direction in my life. I needed some type of discipline because she was, the person who instilled that discipline. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty spoiled by my dad. I was a big daddy's girl, and he was just a dad raising 3 kids. But that's when I decided I needed to do something different. I waited 2 years. I didn't enlist until I was 20.
What branch?
Marine Corps.
Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And your dad's still a huge part of your life now?
He is, yes. So he lives in Longview, and our relationship is way better than what it was when I was a teenager.
So how long were you in the Marines for?
I did 5 years active duty.
Okay, so are you still enlisted?
No.
Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah. So how did you enjoy those 5 years?
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I'd go back in a heartbeat. If we needed it, I absolutely would. I would drop everything. I loved my job, and so I had passion for what I did.
So I know you mentioned you had a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have your kid during that time, or?
No. So I met my wife in 2015. She already had a daughter. She was 4 when I met her.
Okay,
so we got married in 2016, and we've been raising her.
Was there any downfalls
throughout
being in the Marines?
Yes, absolutely. Honestly, you're away from your family for so long, you kind of detach yourself, and there's that space and distance, and all you can do in certain areas is drink. And so when I got out, it was really like a big wake up call. And I was like, I can't drink like this anymore. But a lot of veterans, what they do is they try to keep up with that lifestyle, and that's why a lot of them go down the route they do, or a lot of us commit suicide, or it's unhealthy. And so it's best to seek help while you're still in, but especially when you're out.
About how long after exiting the Marine Corps did you feel like some sense of normalcy?
In late 2021, early 2022.
Would it be accurate to say when I left the military, it just cut off? Like now you got to live civilian life. You got to figure it out on your own.
It's just honestly dealing with the VA and trying to get that stuff taken care of. If you don't take care of it while you're in, it's why I preach this all the time. Take care of your injuries, whatever, if it's mental, physical, while you're in, it's easier for you to get that help when you're out. But we have a lot of pride in doing it. We don't want to say that we're hurt. We don't want to say that, this hurts, that hurts. It's a lot of pride, and it's toxic.
So is it true that they call y'all crayons?
Yeah, so
Or-
we
or
eat
what is that?
crayons.
What
We
is
eat
that?
Okay, my
crayons.
bad.
Yeah,
What does that
we
mean?
eat crayons. They say the Marine Corps, all the Marines are just so dumb that we eat crayons. We just go with it. We love crayons.
Jarheads.
Yeah, so
All right, I just had to ask.
it's a fact.
I've never heard that before.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as the military, what are a couple of things that you would like to share that typically you're not allowed to, or that it really fell on your heart that I need to tell people this part of it?
Military wise, honestly, we were discussing this the other day. I was talking to my wife about it. I feel like I got more shit for being a woman than for being gay. There are some guys in there that just honestly jealous, and they're gonna say, "Oh, you did this because you're a female." Like with the pull-up thing you were talking about, I busted out more than some of the males that we had, and they're like, "Oh, because your body weight is this amount." Like, dude, no, if you can't pull yourself up, you can't pull yourself up.
Yeah.
That isn't my problem.
Amen.
I
So
love that.
things like that, and I'm like, oh, you got this because you're female. Or
Just
you're
a lot
doing
of sexist.
a lot of sexist
Yeah.
type things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, no, like I busted my ass like everybody else. I
Yeah.
loved my job. I was dedicated to it. So that's why I got chosen to go to certain deployments and certain, duty stations.
Absolutely.
So that would be one thing that, I'd
What
like to
What
hit
was
at.
your job?
So I was a tactical air defense controller. So if you've ever seen Top Gun, we were the people that controlled from the ground. So it's not like ATC. It's more like combat control. Like you're pointing out, hostile aircraft. You're pointing out bogies. You're pointing out. You're doing air to ground stuff. You're doing air to air refueling, stuff like that. So
What do you tell young ladies that want to go into the military? What's your advice for them?
go to the Air Force. But honestly, yeah.
What about Space Force?
I don't know too much about that yet, but I
Air
mean, it's
Force?
pretty close. Just be you. There's going to be a lot of people that I guess aren't going to care for you as much. There's always going to be that jealousy game. Females are weird. We're weird. So
So are the women more or less dramatic in the military?
I don't know, man. I guess it depends where you're at. I feel like less
You get out of the military, you do your 5 years. What's the plan after that?
life humbled me. It wasn't what I expected. It was very different. It's trying to get, you're trying to get used to everything again. And my plan was just to finish my degree. I had done school while I was in using tuition assistance. They give you that. And then my plan was to use my GI Bill and just complete my degree. Trying to find a job in East Texas that would pay me what I felt like I deserved for what I did in the military wasn't going to happen.
Was there tension at home as a result? Are you trying to transition back to civilian life?
I feel like I had to be a little bit less, I don't know, I don't want to say aggressive, but like I have a way of talking that wasn't, I guess, welcomed as much as, what a military group would be.
So you're drinking. Would you? How would you describe that?
I mean,
let me-
binge drinking, like blackout.
was it
like,
at
when-
was it at home, or was it like out at the clubs? Was it like
mainly out and about.
how does real estate come into play?
I knew I always wanted to own some type of business. And so I told myself, when you get out, just figure out what you want to do. And so I thought about it, and I was like, I think I'm going to start doing party rental stuff. So while I was working there, I was studying for the real estate exam, and I was also working on starting an inflatable company. So water slides, bounce houses, stuff, things of that nature. And so I actually started them both in June of 2021. I did my testing for real estate, and then I established that company. And so I did them both at the same time. And then I quit that job, and I went full-time
Into real estate?
into real estate and, being an entrepreneur, basically.
How long have you been doing real estate?
I'm going on 4 years.
4 years.
I'm going on 4 years.
Has it been good to you?
Yeah, it has.
Tell me about how it's grown and who's played a role in its growth for you.
Yeah, so obviously my wife is and my family, they're just a huge support system. Like, they're my backbone, right? And any crazy ideas I have, she's like my number one fan. She's like, okay, do it. She just, she sticks it out. Thank God. Because I have some crazy ideas. East Texas Preferred Properties. And so that broker there actually I have grown so much. I moved over to them in 2022. I've grown so much and learned so much with them. And I feel like they've really helped me kind of shape into like the agent that I am today. So my broker, Jessica Holmes, and her husband, Greg Holmes.
What would you tell somebody thinking about going into real estate now?
It's definitely not as easy as some people make it look. It's dude, you're constantly on your phone. Like me and my wife get into it sometimes. Like, I'm on my phone, but either doing emails or texting. And because at the same time, you're a therapist, a marriage counselor, and their agent. So you're doing so many things at once, and you have to be committed. You have to be committed to anything that you do. And if you don't have passion for what you do, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, I think. Like, if you're doing it just for the money and not for your client,
Yeah.
it's the wrong industry.
You won the ATL poll. What would you attribute that to? Because I was when you won, I was like, who's Ashley Salgado? How did you win? Like, Rich, did you know who she was before that?
No, I don't get out much.
Yeah. So I hadn't heard about you before, and I'm like, who is this person that won?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
never really post my real estate stuff in there. I honestly think it's just being, like I said, I moved back, and I've had so much support from everybody since I've been back in East Texas.
You mentioned that you had a wife a couple of times.
We kind of like eloped.
What
So,
year was that?
2016.
Okay.
So my family didn't know about it, and they found out through the Longview News Journal. Thank you. They put all the marriages and stuff on there, and so they found out, and it was not good. I don't even have a coming out story. They just knew.
They just yeah. Dude, that's amazing. That they loved you through that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was rough at first. They were like, not too happy about it. Obviously, I grew up in a Christian household, so I had some family members that were not too happy about it. Everything's great now, but that was one issue that we had.
How did you deal with people who didn't agree with your lifestyle?
I feel like East Texas was a little bit more different. You have a little bit more stairs and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really let it get to me. We don't really do anything that makes anybody uncomfortable. Like, I wouldn't want to see a straight couple making out either, so I get that. So it's, or any couples for that matter.
Are y'all affectionate?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
thinking
that's all I
about that
wanna
one
know.
time. Remember that one time we went out for dinner and there was that couple that was just like all snuggled up in a booth, and John was like, "I gotta go get a picture of them,"
Yeah.
because they were like so affectionate. It was like, wow, is this like their second week as a couple or something?
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a touchy subject for a lot of people. But what would you tell somebody who struggles with that identity or with just making that public?
Honestly, since high school, everybody knew about. So I never had I don't want to say I don't had a coming out story. I never struggled really too much. I don't feel like I was ever treated different too much. Like, some people have like some terrible stories, but
I don't think since you've been in the military, nobody's gonna have a problem with you.
probably not. But like, I don't know. I got along with everyone, and I typically make friends everywhere. So, and some people are surprised about certain views that I have and certain things because like, oh, you're gay, but like you like
They
this and
expect
that.
you. They
expect
expect
to be
you
a
to
certain
have
way.
everything.
Correct.
Just because you're.
They try to attach gay people to a certain community or a certain
Always.
group, and I'm like, dude, no, man, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So people get very surprised by that, but I really and I work at the board, so I'm part of the board of directors for the Longview Area Association of Realtors, and everybody's older than me, so you would think that they feel some type of way. No, they're all older than me, old enough to be my mom or my grandma or whatever. Not all of them.
Right.
I think it's important to say because that there is nothing different from you than anyone else when in that situation. Like, is there anything else in your life that you would say really affected the trajectory of your life that you would like to share with people?
We've had a lot of loss in my family, especially my mom's side. I mean, my grandma didn't pass away. She passed away about 7 years after my mom, and then my mom's youngest brother passed away 2 years after that. And then I get out in 2022. My uncle passed away from cancer, her brother. So we've had a lot of loss. And last year, my cousin, which is her sister's son, was murdered in Eagle Pass by his brother. So my family,
Goodness.
we have been very close due to losses. We only get closer because of them. You know what I mean? And so we have a lot of faith, and I think without God, we wouldn't be. I guess our mentality wouldn't be where it's at. But we've struggled a lot with loss. It's crazy. It's always something.
I have one more question. What would you tell if this was the last day on Earth? What would you tell humanity if this was your last day?
Get right with God.